boy, stop being lazy. Yeah, and I became creative. And I learned how to create it. And now that pride's for me. So come see. Oh, come here.
Welcome back to the Silver Lining Podcast. I'm your host, Sterlington. This is my co-host, Cameron. What's going on with you, Cam?
Feels good to be back, man.
All right. Love to hear it. Love to hear it. So we got a special episode today. Normally we do 2 episodes a week, but we had to do one today about just this topic. Obviously, most of you know, Michael Penix Jr. has been named the starter going forward for the Atlanta Falcons after Kirk Cousins has been benched. He started out the year very well. Over the last 5 games, he's had 1 touchdown, 9 picks. Obviously, we went into detail about how the last game against the Raiders looked. The Falcons clearly lost faith in the quarterback starting at the time, so they decided to make the switch. They announced it last night. How are you feeling about that, there, Cam?
Hey, they gave Kirk ample opportunity to right the ship. He won 4 games without a touchdown, major slump, and we are playing arguably the worst team in the league, the Oakland Raiders. Well, the Las Vegas Raiders.
Good job.
And we almost lost that game. We almost lost that game because we couldn't get our offense right. Special teams played amazing. Defense played great. Offense. The Bijan show went as expected. He ate. Everybody else, they did what they could with what they had. Kirk was holding people back. And at this point, I believe that the higher ups in the organization and the coaching personnel decided that change was needed. And at this point, we kind of got to see what we got. We drafted him for a reason. We wanted him to sit. Granted, we wanted him to sit for a year or 2, but we didn't think that Kirk would regress this bad, especially after having such a great Kirktober. We thought that was the standard we were about to get. I was like, oh, he's throwing for 500 yards. He's throwing 3-4 TDs a game. Okay. Yeah, he may throw a pick here or there, but if you're playing like that, we're winning more games. But then you regress to the point where you have 0 touchdowns in 4 games. Yeah, and then you play extremely poor against the Raiders, a team fighting for the number 1 pick. Yeah, man, you gotta hit the pine. You gotta hit the pine. So yeah, I'm ready for Penix, man. It's a long time coming. Luckily, we have the New York Giants coming up, and we'll get into that preview a little bit later. But I'm looking forward to it, man. It's nice to have a new guy at the helm. It doesn't matter how you get your guy, as long as you got your guy. And hopefully, Penix is the guy.
Look, that's always the hope. Yeah. So look, I've been a guy who likes Kirk since back to Michigan State days. I always thought he was a good dude. I always really liked him. I always rooted for his success. Was happy he was coming here. But I'm a Falcon fan first, and it just wasn't working out. He was costing the Falcons games. But he's still a class act. We talked about this before we got on. I'm sure a lot of you have seen it, but if you haven't, they asked Kirk about that, and Kirk said he wanted to address the elephant in the room, and he wanted to shoot the elephant in the room. So he called Michael Penix Jr. He's totally giving him his full support, and I love to see that from Kirk. Kirk's of that, but also I know he's a vet that the start to his NFL career and the start to Michael Penix's NFL career, the similarities aren't lost on him. Right? You use high resources to acquire a quarterback to be your guy, but then you also take another guy with a pretty high resource. Now you use more resources to get Penix than the Washington Redskins at the time, the Commanders now, used to acquire Kirk Cousins. They used the 3rd rounder for Kirk Cousins. We used the 1st rounder for Penix, but we shelled out a dump truck load of money, which really is not. It wasn't a crazy amount. But we'll get into that in just a second. But I know it's not lost. Long story short, I know it's not lost on Kirk how he got to where he is now, and now it's just his time. He's the old guy, and I know for a fact Kirk knows that the way that he was playing and all the interceptions he was throwing just wasn't up to standard. It just wasn't up to code, and he wasn't able to do things that he had done before. Now I don't know if Kirk's cooked. I don't know if he's cooked. We just won't, and it looks like we won't find that out this year. We won't. Well, maybe we'll find that out, but we won't find that out in Atlanta, right? As we know, Kirk has a hefty contract that the Falcons got to find a way to get out of. A lot of that contract is front loaded, and I don't know who we could really trade with. I mean, I see people floating out interesting ideas. One of the interesting ideas somebody floated out, the one of the most interesting ones to me anyway, was they floated us out, trying to trade Kirk Cousins to San Fran, depending on what happens with them and Brock Purdy, right? Because at the end of the day, Brock's young. Brock has had a lot of success. Brock is probably due for a contract that might be a little too rich for them, for the level of quarterback he is. If you trade for Kirk, you getting the guy who you already know what you're paying him. You know what I'm saying? Now, obviously, that's like hopeful wishes. You know what I'm saying? That's dream, because if you can swing a trade to the 49ers, you might be able to not even have to trade picks to get them to take on the contract, because they're gonna have to pay the quarterback either way. Like Brock Purdy, this is time to pay up. And the question is, if you are the 49ers, are you ready to pay Brock Purdy $50 million a year or more? You know what I'm saying? Now, to those who are Brock Purdy truthers, yep, that's the preposterous idea to say, yeah, let's go ahead and go with the 36-year-old quarterback with the bad Achilles who done shit the bed in Atlanta right in his first year he was getting paid. But some other people might be like, hey, man, I think another year removed from the injury, and Kirk might come back. And there's not really a huge history of quarterbacks tearing their Achilles. So you get Kirk Cousins, you get, oh my God. You get Kirk Cousins, Aaron Rodgers, and I want to say I can't remember who the other one. I want to say it was Dan Marino also tore his Achilles at one point.
He
But
did.
there's not a huge history of quarterbacks tearing their Achilles and then also coming back with high level play. But see, the problem is those, Kirk Cousins and Aaron Rodgers older. Hell, they just might not be fully healed, because they're like, hell, it take like, when you older, you heal slower. You know.
Very true.
Um. So we'll see what happens with that. I heard Tennessee as another option floated out there. I don't see how. I don't know what Tennessee's draft pick status is, but I'm like, well, clearly they want to draft another quarterback too. I can't see them wanting to take on Kirk Cousins' contract. But I mean, they got some weapons down there in Nashville.
Another good
So
spot would be both New York teams, Giants and Jets.
yeah, if the Jets traded, if that would be, I'm not gonna lie. I think we would have to do an over under on how long it would take for the city to be burned down if they traded for another older quarterback coming off of oh yeah, boy. New York, hey, it'll look like the Avengers for real out there in New York, man. You keep that shit going, boy.
Especially if they fleece him. Oh my God.
Oh, bro, no, them trading for him is the fleece, no matter what. Like I feel like we might have to kick in some draft picks to get somebody to take on Kirk's contract. But if we could recoup money, it'll kind of even itself out. Now, as we saying all of this, we got to admit that pretty much, and I guess that makes me want to go into the process for how the Falcons went about quarterback this offseason. So the Falcons, they paid a guy a bunch of money, and then they used their first pick to draft a quarterback. Now, for a lot of people, the process is flawed. My thought on that is that the process is only flawed if Michael Penix ain't your guy, right? Because the way I look at it now, is if quarterback is really the most important position on the field, the thing that has to happen is that you land on it, and you got to not be scared to use resources. So many times, people say, "Oh, we'll just draft a quarterback or just get a quarterback," and then when you use your first round of the quarterback's ass. Don't forget Mitchell Trubisky was drafted in the first round ahead of Deshaun Watson, ahead of Patrick Mahomes. You know what I'm saying? Don't forget that Josh Rosen was drafted ahead of Josh Allen. You get what I'm saying? So you can use high resources on the guy, and then I'm here to let you know, pretty much everybody who drafted these quarterbacks we talking about was out of a job. Right? Like your as a head coach, your job is tied to that position. So it makes a lot of sense to throw resources at that position. I know for some people they say, "Oh, it's a waste of resources." You spent a bunch of money on Kirk. You should have drafted a pass rusher. I'm like, well, hell, look how that would have worked out. If you don't spend all that money on Kirk, you don't draft the pass rusher. Not Kirk playing how he playing, and you ain't got nobody in house, and you're starting to win too many games to get a quarterback. So I guess as long as the Falcons reach 10 wins, 10 wins, and they out of range of good quarterbacks, then no matter what, at least part of Raheem saying we're not gonna be picking this high again. At least that part came true, even if it didn't come with a playoff success.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
But the other thing too is, if they say, all right, well, you should have spent that money elsewhere and take a quarterback. I'm not gonna let the Falcons off the hook. I promise. I don't let nobody off the hook for, this guy's just a homer. He's just justifying everything they do. No, what the fuck? I'm not. They damn sure probably shouldn't have paid Kirk like they did. But the main thing that you got to remember when they pay Kirk is, or any free agent, you got to remember, you are not paying for what they end up doing. You pay them for what you think they're going to do, right?
Exactly.
And when at the time we had paid Kirk, he had he had 8 games where he put together very good work for the Vikings, and he looked like he was on his way. He was putting up MVP caliber numbers. I put that in quotes because they were 4-4, and maybe he would have fell off on the second half of the season. We don't know, but he was on the MVP caliber pace as far as his numbers. And then he got hurt, and you think you might be getting that quarterback, so you pay him what he's worth, but also you acknowledge the fact that you are paying a 35 going on 36-year-old quarterback coming off of an injury, going to a new system, and you like, let's make sure we're not in quarterback purgatory again.
Yeah, of course, man. Of course,
And
because as a team, that is the worst place you can be. It doesn't matter how your team is. It doesn't matter how you're built, man. The worst place you can be as a team is in QB purgatory. It's hell, dog. Because there's
yeah,
no way out. There's no way out of it. So you need to do whatever you can, use whatever resources you have to get the guy. Which is why, in retrospect, at the time, yeah, we were a little upset at us
what
using the eighth
hold on.
pick for a
What was
quarterback.
your whole roller coaster ride with it? Because I had I had a heck of a ride with Penix the whole time because of I watched him in college, and then how it went. What was your roller coaster with Penix?
See, I always thought he was. I thought he was the best passer in the draft. I didn't necessarily think he was the best quarterback, but just
Right.
pure passing of the ball, I thought he was the best. I thought he was the most polished. He also stayed in college a little bit longer, but that's also due to the injuries that he had. So going into the draft, I was thinking, yeah, let's absolutely go pass rusher. Dallas Turner's probably who we're going to get. But knowing the Falcons, we're a glass cannon. We'll take Romo Doomsday. I did not expect Michael Penix. And initially, it left a bad taste in my mouth. I was like, why would you do that and pay all this money? But then I just sat there and thought on it. And I was like, hey, he's coming off an Achilles. We really don't know what we're getting. Yeah, we paid him all that money, and I think he'll be the guy. Hindsight, not the guy, but we thought he would be the guy. Turns out he wasn't, man. And it feels good knowing that we used that 8th pick. Didn't have to trade up for it. He fell to us at 8. Other teams wanted him. Las Vegas wanted him. Minnesota, they'll say they didn't, but they wanted him as well, man. The other teams wanted this guy's quarterback. He fell to us, and we took him. They took what was left. It is what it is. But I'm happy we got him. I see a lot of upside with Michael Penix. A lot of upside. He's a great thrower of the ball. He's calm in the pocket. He's way more athletic than Kirk, way more agile, but he's not really a mobile quarterback like that. Like, you're not going to see him try to, like, be like a be like a Lamar or be like a Josh Allen. I combined them a little bit right there.
Yeah, I saw. And they said, let me go ahead and get Josh Allen the tan real quick. This would happen if Lamar was mixed.
Exactly. But like he's not like or Jalen Hurts. He's not like those guys. He's a real pocket passer who happens to be able to move. So I'm excited, man. This is a great first test for him. We're playing the Giants. It's a good test to see how he looks. Hey, just think about this, man. We've been through Mariota. We've been through Ritter. Now we've been through Kirk. It can't get no worse. Actually, with Falcons fans, it can. But like, I'm optimistic. I'm thinking things are gonna start getting better. And if they don't, well, guess what? We're gonna use our next pick in the draft to get another quarterback, man. You gotta keep throwing resources at the problem until you get it solved. It is what it is. That's just how the NFL works. You have to keep throwing resources at the problem until you get your guy. And sometimes it takes longer than others. But hey, once you get your guy, hey, all hands on deck. And it could be the first pick, or you could be lucky like the 49ers or the New England Patriots, and it could be in the 6th round.
Problem with that though is that's exactly what you said. That's luck. I wouldn't put my job on the line. If I'm a coach, I'm not putting my job on the line on the fact that I'm gonna find me a franchise quarterback in the 6th round or the 7th round of the draft. That's not how I'm about to go down. I fully believe a little bit. Well, I want to say fully, but I don't. You know, my roller coaster with Penix was I watched Penix play in college. Like, I wasn't really watching college as much, unless it was University of Georgia. But, you know, obviously I'm trying to keep up with the playoff. You know, Georgia didn't look like they was going to go. Well, no. I think Georgia got hosed last year because they lost in the SEC championship, and then they decided, well, I guess that means Georgia doesn't get to participate. You know, this ain't a college football show. I'm about to get into that, but I hate that shit, and I'm kind of glad they expanded a little more because that was the stupidest thing ever. But anyway, I would turn on highlights, and I'm like, yo, this Penix dude is slinging that thing. That boy is getting the ball down the field accurately to guys in stride. I was like, boy, if the Falcons could get this motherfucker, I would be so happy. Because you think about it certain ways, right? Obviously, I would have loved for the Falcons to get, Caleb Williams, your top quarterbacks. But I'm like, man, the Falcons ain't gonna be drafting there. They never are. They never are. The one year we did have a high enough draft pick to maybe get a quarterback, it was the year we took Kyle Pitts. And the quarterback on the board, because who was taken first that year? I know Trey Lance was second. Oh my
God. 2020 or 2021?
This was 2021.
Was that
who?
Was it Joe Burrow? No, he was 2020, wasn't he?
Oh God, I can't remember. I'm so sorry, y'all. That's this feel. I swear I'm a real football fan. I promise. I'm just having a brain fart. But yeah, Trey Lance was the second quarterback taken. The third quarterback was Justin Fields, who ended up going to the Bears. But I'm like, it was Trevor Lawrence. Oh yeah, so yeah, our options was Trevor Lawrence, Trey Lance,
Zach Wilson,
Justin Fields. No, I think I remember when Zach Wilson before that.
Yeah, he did go before that. Yeah.
But I'm like, bruh. Now Trevor Lawrence at the time really did seem like he was one of them guys. I remember when he took over in college. I want to say he took over for Kelly Bryant, was the quarterback for Clemson. And boy, that boy Trevor Lawrence was amazing. But and he like had it all. He the tall quarterback with the big arm, and he was mobile. So he really looked like Sunshine from Remember the Titans. But he was an option for us. Trey Lance was an option for us because 49ers spent a bunch of resources and they moved up and got him. And then, we either taking Justin Fields or taking Kyle Pitts. Needless to say, there was no real right option. I know. Calm down. Sit down. Calm down. I know we could have had Micah Parsons. We could have had Jamar Chase. We could have had Patrick Surtain. I know. We talking about quarterbacks right now. All right. But I remember thinking to myself last year, we're not going to be able to get any of those guys, but I think we could actually get the Penix guy. Then we got Kirk Cousins, and I just completely stopped thinking about quarterbacks. So when we took Kirk Cousins, I was so caught off left field thinking we were taking a receiver or taking a pass rusher that I was upset about it. And after I got a chance to cool down, I was like, all right, actually, I love this guy. I wanted this dude so bad. This is like a fucking fever dream, really. I should have been happy as hell. But I was just so caught off guard that I think I got upset about it. And you know how being a fan is. When the team doesn't do what you expect them to do, that's like the worst thing. That's worse than making an actual bad move. If you do what everybody expects you to do, and it is wrong and it sucks, then nobody cares. But you do what they didn't expect them to do, even if it work out, they are pissed. You remember that Donovan McNabb for the Eagles got booed on his draft day. They thought the Eagles were going to take Ricky Williams, and they took fucking Donovan McNabb from Syracuse? Oh, this man. You know what I'm saying? So they was upset, right? When Patrick Mahomes got drafted to the Chiefs, they're like, what the fuck y'all doing? And then they traded up for him. Oh boy, they were pissed. Right. So, a lot of how you expect the draft to go is expectation, right? But then, as time has gone on, I'm like, all right, they kind of got a plan. That is a lot of resources to dump into. And if you're gonna have Kirk start for 2 years and be burning up Michael Penix rookie contract, and then y'all talking about him being here for 4 years, I'm like, damn. So you're gonna take Michael Penix rookie? You gonna hit his 5th-year option without him stepping on the field? Are you kidding me? You know what I'm saying? So I gotta admit, some of that shit sounded stupid. It did. I can say it now because we started Penix, but some of that kind of sounded like it was a mismanagement. But that's the one to me, and this is where you do got to give them props. This is like the one time you see these pro sports franchises say, what if we get this one wrong? What if we pay this free agent quarterback and he sucks? Maybe we should, hedge our bets and not act like we know every goddamn thing. Because see, that's the problem that I get with a lot of people criticizing this, is I'm like, hindsight is so 2020, right? Like it's so clear. Oh, well, if you're going to pay this quarterback all of this money, then why are you going to spend a draft pick on it? Well, damn, man, is the draft and in free agency the same time, or does one happen before the other? Right. So
Exactly.
what the Falcons really, when you say they really went in to solve the position, they went after the best free agent quarterback available. And then they went after the best quarterback in the draft available to them. They really treated the most important position on the field like it was the most important position on the field. And if Michael Penix is your guy, all of this other shit about all the money we spent on Kirk and how we took a quarterback and paid a quarterback in the same year, all of that out the window. Nobody remembers it when it works out for you. Nobody's talking about how the 49ers were paying Jimmy Garoppolo, how they basically mortgaged their future for Trey Lance, a dude who played like 10 fucking college games. No, I think he played 16 altogether. I think he played like 2 one year. He played like 13 or 10, 13, something like that next year, and then play one the year after that. You had a dude who didn't even have 2 years worth of starts at the FCS level, not FBS, not football bowl subdivision, the football championship subdivision. All right, these motherfuckers playing Appalachian State, right? And these the guys. They drafted that guy ahead of us. So you know what else happened? You know how we were saying, oh, we could have had Jamar Chase, we could have had Michael Parsons, we could have had Patrick Surtain. So could the 49ers. And instead they got Trey Lance, who's not even on their team no more. Hell, at least Kyle Pitt's still on the team.
Right.
So I'm like, yeah, look, hey, players fuck up, man. It happened. But you know what though? 49ers didn't rest. They drafted another guy in the 6th round that they liked, and you know, he took them to a Super Bowl, took them to 2 NFC championships, and we don't even talk about that shit no more. All right, so just remember with this. Now, right now, we're still in the beginning stages of this. We still at the part of the process where we figuring out if we have our guy. But if Michael Penix Jr. is our guy, none of this other shit matters. That means it was a success. That means, and look, this is how I look at it too. Now I know it sucks to pay a guy and have to use a high draft pick on it. The way I just look at it, I say, hey, whatever Kirk dead cap hit is, if Michael Penix really is the guy, just pretend that's his check.
Exactly. Cost of doing business.
Yo, matter of fact, one of the ways I like to look at it, I say, hey, when it comes to how do I phrase it? When it comes to paying, when it comes to resources as far as money, sometimes you're not paying a player, you paying a position, right? Now that's money that your quarterback position is making. Not don't look at it as money that Kirk Cousins making. Look at it as money that your quarterback position making. Kirk might not be the guy playing, but if Michael Penix is the guy and he is a guy, he's a dude, he's a dog, your quarterback position just making that much money. That's what you would have been paying anyway. So it's cool. You know, I mean, it worked out. All right. So you excited, my boy?
Very. We got a very doable challenge coming up. We got the Vikings. We'll be talking about that a little bit more later. But right now, I'm excited about Michael Penix, man. Like, he has all the physical attributes. Yeah, he has the little injury history, but at the same time, there are other really good players who've had an injury history, but they're not really injury prone. They just had a couple major injuries. Look at Frank Gore. Played what,
Yeah.
16 years in the NFL, and he tore played towards both of his ACLs.
He did.
Yeah, so he was running back. So okay, it could happen, man.
That's
Hell,
what I'm saying. He's a running back.
even Drew Brees came back from that crazy shoulder injury.
He did.
And had a Hall of Fame career. Led the Saints to a Super Bowl. So I'm a believer. I've how many years was he at Washington? 2?
He did 4 at Indiana, I think, and 2 at Washington.
And for those 2 years at Washington, he was injury free.
And he was a goddamn lights out baller at that.
He was injury free, and he was slinging that thing, man. I'm a believer, man. I think he's kind of gotten over his problem. I think he kind of realizes that he can't really play that real mobile style quarterback kind of role. He's kind of realized he's more of a pocket passer, but hey, he has the arm to do it. He also runs that 4.40, so he also has some wheels, but he's not really looking to run like that. And I kind of like that from my quarterback. I kind of like how he's more pass first. It's going to be interesting. He's a lefty, so who we're going to have guarding his blind side? Would it be McGarry?
Yeah.
Would it be
I ain't
McGarry
gonna lie.
guarding his
I
blind
was passed
side?
out when you said that. I got dizzy.
I'm not saying I'm completely worried about that, but hey, I'm glad we're playing the Giants now. A little warm-up test going in to a potential playoff matchup against the Commanders. So hey, man. I knew they knew something. When they flexed that game to Sunday night, they knew something.
They knew. I'm like, after how Kirk played on Monday night, you would subject the people to that shit again voluntarily?
Oh my goodness, man. But yeah.
That's because they know.
Yeah, dog, I'm optimistic, man. And not Desmond Ritter-esque optimistic, where I'm like, hey, who knows what we got? He's a third-round quarterback. And before people get upset, like, how could you be this all in on a third-round quarterback? Hey, you got to know the draft and the quarterback position is a crapshoot. Tom Brady is the greatest quarterback of all time, and he was a sixth-round draft pick. He
Should
started
have seen
his
it
career
coming.
off number 4 on the depth chart with New England. He was number 3 on the depth chart with Michigan. He has had to work his way up to everything, dog. So when people say, "Oh, what about the?" There are no guarantees. That is the one position where it's a legit flip of a coin. So yeah,
Yeah.
we got Ritter. So I was like, you know what? Maybe it'll flip our way. I was wrong, but at least we gave him a shot. And I believe, unlike Ritter, I believe Penix has a legitimate shot. I think he can do it, man. He has all the physical attributes. He looks like a prototypical style quarterback: tall, big arm, fast. I think he fits our offense perfectly. I'm a believer, man. What about you, man? How you feeling?
Look, I'm I'm in a weird place with all of this because, like I said, I was surprised we took Penix with the situation being what it was, but I just remember seeing Penix throw the rock the way he did, and like the fact that he's in now and is settling in, and I'm like trying not to get overly excited, uh, makes look. I'm gonna be real. I'm excited, right? Because it's rare that you get a player in college that you get real attached to, and then your favorite team drafts him in a situation where you didn't expect him the person to be drafted. Like when we signed Kirk Cousins, that really did dead the idea in my head that the Falcons were going to take Michael Penix Jr. So I'm like, all right, well, whatever. That's fine. That happens all the time. The Falcons never pick the guy you want them to pick. Like hell, seriously, when is the last guy that the Falcons picked that you wanted them to pick? I could probably say the last one that I like was a guy in college that I would have liked to see them. Well, I won't say in college, but the guy I would like to see them pick that they picked was the Deion Jones. I remember we needed a linebacker. I was scouting linebackers. I was watching Darren Lee. He was like the highest rated linebacker. And I said to myself, this dude fast and all, but he is way too flighty for me. Like when the guard coming downhill at him, he doing everything he can to get out the way and shit, and he not really playing football. I didn't like that aspect. And then we took Keanu Neal, and I'm like, what the fuck are we doing taking a safety in the first round? But whatever. But then we took Deion Jones in the second round, and I remember being super excited about that because I remember watching Deion Jones. He was undersized, but he was super fast. At least on tape. Now, he actually ran a slow 40 at the draft. I mean, at the combine, but then on his pro day, he ran like a 4.3. But even though he was small, though, he played like a football player. You know what I'm saying? Like he just came downhill. Now he turned into a flighty guy as his career went on, but that ended up working out for us at least for the first few years that he was in Atlanta, right? So I'm excited about Penix. Now one of the things I do want to talk about too, as we talking about that, is just trying to figure out expectations, right? Because before we got on and started recording, we were talking about we were talking about Arthur Smith, and we're saying how Arthur Smith and Raheem both kind of had this sickness where they sticking with a quarterback for too long. But then when I started comparing the situations, I said, well, it kind of make a little more sense for Raheem to stick with his quarterback a little longer. He's a 4-time Pro Bowl quarterback. He's a guy who you paid a bunch of money to. He's a guy who was on the MVP pace as a passer last year. You hoping he can right the ship. He's a great guy, but from a football perspective, you hoping he can right the ship, and you also have a huge investment in him, so you really hoping he can right the ship, but for a completely different reason, not just that it's good for my team, but it's like, damn, we believed in you. We want you to be the guy. You know what I'm saying? But with Arthur Smith, it was like you are really, really, really attached and overly committed to starting this third round guy. You didn't even like this quarterback enough to take him in the first round. So like but you like him enough to put your job on the line. You know what I'm saying? And I remember us being at some point we fell out of Chris Mariota fell out of favor so badly amongst Atlanta fans. We as a collective started convincing ourselves that Desmond Ritter was going to savior us. You know what I'm saying? Just so you know now, I know that's not the way you use savior. That's a joke for all the nerds out there, right? That have ever read the Planet Hulk comic. That's a Hulk comic where Hulk goes to this planet called Sakaar. He meets this little. He's trapped on. He's a slave on that world, and they basically fight gladiator fights, and he fights with this other little bug guy, and he's weak. And they say that the person who's supposed to be the savior of the planet Sakaar is the Sakaar son or whatever. And Meek used to talk weird. That was the name of the little bug guy, and he was like, "He saviors us." You know what I'm saying? So when I say that, I know I'm not using that word the right way. It's an inside joke. All right. Just thought I should explain because I know I done did that shit like 2, 3 times, and they like, "Boy, this motherfucker's illiterate." Like, get this man a dictionary. But so yeah, not to get sidetracked, but uh, I'm like, we really sat up in here, like as an adult, we sat up knowing what we saw about Desmond Ritter and said, yeah, this gonna be the dude to lead us to the promised land. And in hindsight, I'm like, we never really thought that. I think we all thought that, like I always say, the biggest thing that Desmond Ritter did was not be Marcus Mariota. You were so sick of Marcus Mariota that when you just wanted somebody back there that wasn't him. And then when you got it, you were happy. And you was like, hey man, it's gonna work itself out. And then when it didn't, you got mad. But then in hindsight, hindsight's 2020. You look back at it and you like, what the fuck was Arthur Smith doing? He had Matt on his last legs. And then he decided to go to war with Marcus Mariota and Desmond Ritter. And then he decided that in them 4 games that were not very good by him, in them 4 games he saw, like I think in his first game he didn't even throw for 100 yards. I think in his first game he threw for 97 yards. It was against the Saints, I think. And
terrible. It was
and I'm
terrible.
like, somehow this man looked at that shit and said, yeah, we're gonna run it with the kid next year. And then so much so that he signed Taylor Heineke as backup and said, shit, let them boys roll. We're gonna roll them dice and let it go. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm like, what the hell? You know what I'm saying? So that's all about setting expectations, right? I don't want us to be in a position where we so thirsty for the next guy, not to be Kirk, that we just done convinced ourselves that this rookie gonna come in, he gonna throw for 350 yards and 3 touchdowns every game, and we gonna win the Super Bowl. Don't set your expectations that high. All right. Do not forget he is a rookie. I scouted Michael Penix very heavily. Seriously, I didn't watch all the games, but I watched all the throws from every game. So I didn't, I didn't watch all the defense play when Penix wasn't on the field. I didn't watch all of the reps. I was like, I can't break down how good Penix handed the ball off. I didn't watch those reps, but I watched all the reps where he was passing. Right. So Penix, he does have a little bit of an accuracy issue, a little bit, right? And most of his, I notice he almost does it the same way. So that's the good part. He's not erratic. He does have a tendency to overthrow some guys sometimes. Now, that I think comes just from a little bit of his mechanics. I noticed that every time he overthrows, he rocks on his back foot a little, pick his front foot up a little, so he's just throwing off the back foot and not the front foot, and then he overthrows guys. But that aside, Penix, look, Penix is one of the most natural thrower of the balls I've seen. Like throwers of the ball that I've seen. Like that dude can throw that like. All right, let me just let you know what I mean when I'm talking about that, right? So there's guys who are really good quarterbacks. Peyton Manning is probably the second greatest quarterback of all time. To some, he might be the GOAT. And I ain't even mad at you. You know what I'm saying? Brady is the GOAT to me. I remember when I had to kneel and crown his ass. But Peyton, don't get shit twisted at all. It's a reason his nickname was the Sheriff. All right, Peyton was that dude. Peyton had a water pistol arm. All right, I'm here to let you know Peyton did it all with here and anticipation. I mean, Peyton was throwing up so many goddamn ducks, you thought that it was turning winter, and they was flying south. That's how all his arms was. That boy Penix could throw that goddamn ball through it from a trash can. I mean, through a trash can in the stands. He throw that thing so deep and it hits guys in stride, right? Like he gonna get all the meat on the bone most of the time when he throws the deep ball, and he's very aggressive, right? And it got me thinking because one of the things I kept noticing was, a lot of people they kind of downgraded Penix a little. They was like, oh well, he's playing with Rome Odunze and Jalen McMillan and Jalen Polk. He's got all these NFL talent. You know what I'm saying? And I noticed they didn't do that with Jaden Daniels. Jaden Daniels looks good, but so does Malik Neighbors. So does Brian Thomas Jr. Now, Michael Penix Jr. hadn't played, but Roma Dunze has. Where the fuck Roma Dunze been?
Yeah.
Jalen Polk has. Where the fuck Jalen Polk been? Jalen McMillan has. Where the hell he been? Turns out, maybe Michael Penix was kind of helping them get their numbers up.
Exactly, man.
Turns out when you got a quarterback that's goddamn accurate and real aggressive, that shit make you look good too. Now I want to be fair. Roma Dunze he got to split reps with DJ Moore, Keenan Allen. He got a rookie quarterback. Jalen McMillan got to split reps with Mike Evans, Chris Godwin. Those are the guys ahead of him. So he's third.
Chris Godwin hurt.
Chris Godwin got hurt, and Mike Evans was out for part of the year. And Jalen McMillan still ain't took over. All right. And Jalen Polk is a Patriot. Who the fuck is their receivers like that?
I don't know.
Like, you know what I'm saying? They got one guy, I can't remember his name, but they got another one out there, and I'm like, well, you're not exactly, swimming in talent all around you to stop you from getting targets. And I'm starting to think that maybe Penix was the one making these guys look good. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, look, Penix is a dude. And one of the things, so when we talk about setting expectation now, like I said, he's going to have some overthrows. In the NFL, those overthrows might lead to turnovers. All right? So we gotta be patient, right? The one of the things I kind of was okay with him being on the bench is because, look, we got to be real, Cam. We ain't been to the playoffs in 6 years. It might be 7 this year. The fans is rabid. The fans is in a frenzy. We want a winner in Atlanta, right? So we might not be as patient as we need to be. He might have some growing pains, but I'm telling you, I believe that Michael Penix is a dude.
Okay.
Like, look, that dude, because go back and watch him. Go look at his. He didn't just get to Washington and was doing that. He did what he did all 4 years at Indiana. He had Indiana beating Ohio State.
I remember that.
Indiana, Washington. These are not blue blood football programs. Like Caleb Williams, he had won in the Heisman, but he was at Oklahoma with Lincoln Riley, the quarterback whisperer. Like Lincoln Riley, goddamn, made Baker Mayfield a first-round quarterback. That man changed. If y'all don't remember, Jalen Hurts was a running quarterback, and I say running quarterback, I mean he was a toting the rock quarterback, not I can run and I throw. No, they primarily how they used him. He was a rock. He was holding the rock and running it. Lincoln Riley got his hands on him, turned that man into a goddamn Heisman candidate. That boy throwing the hell out the raw now. Lincoln Riley made Baker Mayfield another first-round pick. Made Kyler Murray a first-round pick. So, yeah, Caleb Williams here with Lincoln Riley in a blue blood program like Oklahoma, and then he going to USC, another blue blood program. Michael Penix Jr. going to Indiana.
Yes.
He going to Washington, and he taking these programs to new heights. All right? I'm trying to tell y'all boys, that shit means something.
It does.
That shit means something. And talent. He don't want elevating the talent around him. Look, y'all don't remember. I remember about Josh Allen. See, one of the things I hate when people evaluate quarterbacks is when they say, "Oh, what?" They like to evaluate these quarterbacks by their worst moments, right? So he had a bad game against Michigan in a championship, and now all of a sudden he's a second-round quarterback. What? Are you kidding me? Y'all said the same thing about Josh Allen. Josh Allen was at Wyoming, and they said, "Oh, but when he played against NFL caliber talent teams, he sucked." I'm like, he was at Wyoming. You know who his NFL talent was? Brian Hill. You remember Brian Hill?
No.
He was a running back for the Falcons that got drafted in the 5th round.
Oh, you're right. I forgot about him.
That was Josh Allen's NFL talent on his team. And
Oh,
guess
man.
what? Josh Allen was another one of the ones I scouted. Although I didn't have a good reason to scout Josh Allen. Honest to God, the only reason I thought Josh Allen was going to be good was off of a busted play that didn't even result in anything. He got chased out of a pocket, and then he just threw it away. But I was like, yo, this dude just like outran like some real fast dudes. And then when he just threw the ball away, he just threw it away. But like it soared like 50 yards in the air. And then when I'm like, boy, this dude got a fucking catapult for an arm. Like, this motherfucker could be like a siege weapon. but sorry, I'm getting a little excited, as y'all know. That's what the podcast for, man. You know, you get your boy worked up, man. Shit, I'm ready to preach. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, no, seriously. Look, Michael Penix is a guy. There's that, but we do need to have some realistic standards. I do expect the Falcons to win this game. I don't know what's going to happen against Washington now with Penix, you know, because we know that we'll save that for the preview episode, because this episode's going to be long, so I think we're going to just do the episode talking about Penix, and then we'll do a preview episode. That'll be a shorter episode. That one will be like 30 minutes or so. But you know, I don't know what's going to happen, but I don't want us to get to a place where, because we're so thirsty for the Falcons to be a winner and be a competitive team, that we turn on Michael Penix before it's the right time. Right? That's one of those things that is very easy to do as a fan base when you're just tired of being patient. When you're tired of feeling like not just being patient, but being patient when your team one of the laughing stocks in the NFL. They keep doing all this weird shit and then it don't work out.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, because now when you do weird shit and it don't work out, it's like, why the fuck were you doing that in the first place? You know what I'm saying? When you do weird stuff and it work out, you're innovative.
You're a
You're
visionary.
smart. You're forward thinking outside the box. When you do weird things and it don't work out, you're a dumbass. All right, ain't no way around it. That's the hard part about trying to find different ways to do the same old shit. When you start going outside the ways that is proven, you look dumb. But you know, we've seen a million times before, man. Guys draft these quarterbacks all the time. The quarterbacks suck, and then coach out of a job, GM out of a job, and then we starting over again anyway. All right.
Yeah.
Now, what do you how did you feel about how long it took Raheem to change to Penix? Do you think he did it at the right time? Like, you know, what's your thoughts with that?
Honestly, yeah. I think it was the right time.
Think
He held on to Kirk for a little bit longer than a lot of fans would like. But at the same time, you pay a man $180 million. You give him every opportunity he has to right the ship. He's owed that. Unfortunately, our record suffered for it, but he was owed that. And Kirk's past performance has earned him the right to try to get it together. Kirk has put up almost MVP numbers. He went 13-4 with the Vikings. Yeah, he imploded against the Giants in the playoffs. Then the following year, they're 4-4, but he's pulling up MVP caliber numbers before he gets hurt. And now we coming back. And now he's just coming off Kirktober, where we're looking very good. We're 6-3. So you're like, oh, okay. He has shown that he has it. He's thrown for 500 yards. He's shown that he's still that guy. You like that guy. He still has that in him. So when we lose against the New Orleans Saints, and you could put that on Koo, but a lot of that was on Kirk and his performance. And then after that, we go to Denver and get dog walked. Okay. So be it.
Whole team shot the bed.
Whole team shot the bed on that one. Okay. Sounds good. We were due for a bye. All right. Bye week comes. Boom. Come out. Chargers at home. Defense puts up a masterclass. Special teams do what they got to do. Kirk single-handedly loses us that game. Throws 4 interceptions. That's unacceptable. But you give the man a chance to right the ship. At this point, we're still top of the division. Now we're going into Minnesota. And we have a pretty decent first 3 quarters. And then as a team, we implode. And Kirk did make a good point when he said, when I had the ball last, it was 21-21. Dog, you've been part of the reason why we lost 3 straight games. And now you're the reason we done lost 4. And you're going to come out and blame the defense when they finally starting to get right? How dare you? Matt Ryan would never.
No.
And then on top of that, okay, so be it. Now we're going into Las Vegas. We're playing arguably the worst team in the league. They can't get right on offense. The stars they have on defense are hurt, so they can't get right there either. And we almost lose that game to the guy we couldn't wait to get rid of, Desmond Ridder. He was a failed Hail Mary throw. Jesse Bates had to bail us out yet again. Oh, and by the way, in that game, our defense played extremely well. Special teams came up clutch as well.
It did.
Special teams did their job. Everybody did their job except for Kirk. At this point, even he knew his time was up. So, yeah, our record did suffer for it, but it's not like Desmond Ridder. We went out and sought this man. We went out and tampered for this man. We went out and lost a pick for this man. We went out and paid $180 million for this man. Granted, it's front loaded, so he's not getting a whole $180 million. It's only $100 million guaranteed. And we can still get out of some of this through trading. Who knows? I'm optimistic. Terry is actually kind of – that's one of Terry's bright sides. He's actually good at that kind of stuff. But I digress. It was time. He had to go. And I'm so respectful and thankful to Kirk. He got the city piped up a little bit. He got the city excited about Falcon football, but he fell down to earth. And we started becoming apathetic because we're going on, 7 straight years of bad football? You got teams like the Denver Broncos taking on almost $80 million of dead cap to get rid of Russell Wilson, and that team is about to make the playoffs after that, and we're on year 7 and we can't get right? Yeah. Fans are upset. So I think you made a very valid point. Although I do think we have our guy. I do think we have a guy. We must be patient with him. I do think he'll play very well, but I do think he'll have some boneheaded plays. Some plays where I'm like, dog, why'd you throw that pass? But it's okay. It's okay because I know he'll be able to right the ship. And it's gonna take some time, but I think we can do it. I think he is sad enough, and I think now this is the perfect week for it. We got Washington, another dog shit team. We got them at home. I'm excited for the future.
Love to hear it, man. Love to hear it. Because this season's been a roller coaster. The season's been and it's been a roller coaster in ways you didn't expect. You didn't expect to win all of these games during this 4-game stretch. Denver's turning out to be a hell of a team. Minnesota's turned out to be a hell of a team. The Chargers turning out to be a pretty good team. But the play that you got from that position just wasn't acceptable. And it's time to put the young guy in, see what he can do. Now, let me ask, what you think? What do you think we need to do as far as the plan with Kirk? Because a lot of people say you can't go back. I don't think you can go back based on performance, right? Because you can't do that, then say, all right, Penix, you suck. We about to go back to the other guy that we thought sucked so bad that we put you in. Like that's just
Yeah, that's not a good look.
That's not a good look. But at the same time, I think about how much dead money you got, and I'm like, hey man, if Kirk want to be traded, because Kirk got a no trade clause. So if Kirk decide that he don't like where we want to trade him, he can say no.
Kirk
Right?
got some options, man. You know what would be a good spot for Kirk?
Tell me. No.
Cleveland would be a
There's
good
no
spot.
way Cleveland about to opt into more money in that quarterback role.
They would never do that because they already got so much on the line. But I think he'd be a good quarterback for him. There are a few good spots.
Oh, actually, now that you mention it, yeah, playing with Kevin Stefanski.
Yeah.
And they got some decent receivers out there. They got some decent running backs, decent O-line. Yeah, I mean, I could see it. I could see it.
There are a few teams who wouldn't like to admit it, but they're in QB purgatory as well. There's only
a lot of teams are.
There's only a handful of teams that actually have their guy. I'd say like 10 teams, probably like 10 teams in the league who legit. Actually, I'd say all the playoff teams. Would you say that?
I mean, what, you want to count them up?
I mean, because if you look at it, you got.
We start with our division. Honestly, the only person you can say definitively who has their guy is Tampa.
Baker's the guy.
Baker's that guy.
I wanted Baker when free agency happened. Before all this happened, before all this BS, I was like, I've always like how you've been a Kirk believer. I've always been a Baker believer. Always been a Baker guy.
I can't verify this. Cam did say that.
He got Cleveland their only playoff win, and on top of that, he repeatedly played hurt for them, and they ran him out of town. And then and thank God. One thing about Cleveland that I love is they stopped the Falcons from ruining themselves by throwing all that money at Deshaun Watson. That's like the one stain, and we kind of deserve it as fans because how shitty we treated and disrespected Matt Ryan, our franchise GOAT, my fucking GOAT. We disrespected the hell out of Matt because he wasn't Vic, but he was never gonna be Vic. He's mad, baby. He ice, ice man. Come on now. Anyways. That's the one thing I love about Cleveland. They saved us from ourselves.
Boy.
We're making a catastrophic mistake.
Bro, we could still be paying for that.
I'm trying to
Cleveland
tell
is
you.
Still paying for that mistake.
Oh, my God. Thank you, bro. I hate how
you thought that Kirk Cousins contract make your ass cheeks clench up. I'm like, shit, hey, man, that Deshaun Watson contract will make your ass clench up so hard you could clip a cigarette. Clip a cigar.
He's such a piece of shit too. So then you gotta have that piece of shit on your team as well. It'd be different if he was just. It'd be different if he just regressed and he wasn't worth the bag. But not only is he not worth the bag, he's also a scumbag. So you're just like, well, damn, I'm double fucked.
I will admit that that make the medicine go down a lot easier when at least you like the guy. Like, when we wanted Desmond Ridder to fuck out, but now that Desmond Ridder gone, everybody talk good about him. He's like, man, he was a great kid.
Every Falcons fan has something good to say about Desmond Ridder because we liked him as a person.
Yeah, you like the guy. We just
hated him as our quarterback.
Them's the facts, boy.
Yes, dog. I want Desmond Ridder to eat, just not at my table.
Dude, just get the fuck out of Atlanta. Don't eat no Atlanta's wings. Don't eat none of that shit. Get the hell out. Oh man. And it's like that with Kirk too. Everybody turning on Kirk because throwing all them
weakest swag
picks.
surf I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. It was. But hey, tell me you ain't loved it though at the time. Hey, I was loving every
Don't
bit of
say it
it.
didn't hype the city up. Don't say
But-
it didn't hype the city up.
Hey, but you know what though? That swag surf go down real good after a 500-yard overtime, 500-yard game with an overtime win against a division
Yes,
rival.
baby. Real good.
Hey, shit. Matter of fact, I'm gonna change the swag surf to how Kirk did it if you gonna do it like that, baby.
I'm trying to tell you.
But,
man. Oh,
all right, man. Y'all know we like talking. I ain't gonna lie. I could probably talk some more about this shit. This shit exciting. We got news. Hey, look, if nothing else, I know y'all be feeling like the media be disrespecting the Falcons. They still is, but at least they talking about us. We giving these motherfuckers a lot to talk about this year, boy. And now we getting an extra prime time game. Remember how we wasn't getting any prime time games over the last 2-3 years? Well, that ain't a problem this year. All right, I think they scheduled us for. Now we're getting the 5th one. And how have we been doing on prime time this year?
I think we're 2-2.
Beat the Eagles. No, I think we're 3-1.
Look, we are 3-1. We beat the
Yeah,
Eagles.
beat the Eagles, beat the Raiders, beat the Bucks, and then lost to the Chiefs.
We're 3-1 in primetime games, baby.
Yeah.
Okay.
Undefeated on the road in prime time too.
Okay, I'm excited, man. I'm
you know
excited
what I'm saying?
for Sunday. It's good because this has got me out of my little apathetic slump that I was in.
hey! That shit had you like this.
Dog, reawakened. I feel reinvigorated, man.
That's
I'm
right.
excited. I'm excited as a fan. Hey, I don't want to get my hopes too high. I'm gonna go into the game even killed. I think we should win. We'll get into this later, but
we'll get into that another one. All right. Well, look, thank you guys so much for spending some time with me and Cam. As you know, there was a lot to say about this subject. If you got anything else you want to say, please go ahead and say it. You know how we do it. But please like, subscribe, comment about this if you want to. Share, hit the little bell when you want to know some real niggas uploading. Peace.